What the Health is an indie film by Kip Anderson. You might also know him as the creator of Cowspiracy. He has worked on many vegan films and is a vegan advocate. This movie has received quite a lot of hate from a lot of academic people and also from the doctors for its quote-unquote cherry-picked studies. While it is obvious that this film does have a bias for plant-based eating, I will not be focusing on the ethics of whether it is okay to kill and eat animals. I will instead be referencing the research they used in the video and see whether it was cherry-picked or it was actually legitimate. This is not to ignore the issue of the ethics of killing animals for food. While it is a very important topic to discuss in the 21st century, the film and its makers have specified that this is not the intention of the film. The intention of the film is to show the corruption in big pharmaceutical and food companies that quote-unquote brainwash the public into thinking that certain foods are healthier than others. While the film has made some bold and controversial claims, such as the claim that eggs amounts to smoking many cigarettes a day, the film's major problem is that it's somehow shaped like an action film, making everything seem incredibly dramatic. That is what I think made a lot of viewers view this as over-dramatization instead of an actual legitimate health threat. Regards to the research they mentioned, they are right that the average American does not consume enough fiber. In fact, the average American consumes half as much fiber as they're supposed to, while consuming twice the amount of protein and sugar that they should be doing in a day. They say that this has disastrous consequences on Americans' lives, such as causing atherosclerosis in the heart, which is the clogging of the heart's arteries, and a rise in type 2 diabetes throughout the nation. What the Health's main thesis is that the current eating habits of the average American, which includes a lot of sugars, a lot of fats, a lot of meats, causes a high uptick in the cholesterol in one's body, which would cause a person to get atherosclerosis and many other degenerative heart conditions. While the link between high cholesterol and especially high serum cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and high saturated fats have been linked to heart disease and atherosclerosis, as well as to a smaller extent diabetes and certain type of cancers, it is a bit extreme to say that you must eliminate all meats and dairies from one's diet in order to completely avoid getting any of these heart disease, because while plants don't contain any amount of natural cholesterol on their own, if you use oils, coconut oil, olive oil, which are plant-based sources, you can create saturated fat, which can be metabolized by the body to make cholesterol, which can even make some vegans get heart attacks or heart problems. So it is not entirely impossible to be a vegan and be unhealthy, or the other way around, be a meat eater and healthy, despite the fact it all matters on moderation. Trevor from The Doctor said it best when he
Wait a minute, what about the other side? Was there quite frankly, a conscious effort to exclude the other side of the debate?
One thing that What the Health absolutely gets right is the fact that big industries such as the pharmaceutical, dairy, and meat industries have funded many false and bogus research to promote their brand as healthy and risk-free. For example, eggs have been promoted to cause good heart health, which is actually not true in excess, since eggs have one of the highest levels of cholesterol among average foods, as in foods that are not processed. But they also have downplayed the effects of fiber. For example, the average American does not get nearly enough fiber in their diet, which is recommended 30 grams per day. In fact, they get something closer to 11 grams per day. So What the Health is right. People should increase the consumption of carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables in order to get that fiber count in. Some of the film's critics, however, point to two specific points. One being the link between eggs and cigarettes, which the film claims is just as bad as each other, and the second is the downplaying of the negative effects of sugar, which would coincide with your uptick in fruit consumption if you followed the film's advice. The research on eggs and cigarettes goes back to a Harvard study that was done on a small population size, and that is not quite definitive enough. And this neglects to mention that eggs do have undeniable positive aspects, while smoking almost has none. Film also heavily downplays the dangers of sugar, saying that it was just a scapegoat by the pharmaceutical industries in order to target it from the quote-unquote real enemy, cholesterol. And while I would say that cholesterol and heart disease are quite significantly worse and much deadlier than sugar or diabetes, it is still undeniable that an excess consumption of sugar can lead to overweight people, which also can lead to many problems, which include brittle bones, bad teeth, as well as some type of cancers, as sugar cells can directly feed cancerous tumors. Overall, I think the movie had a positive message. If it was phrased in a better way or less dramatic, maybe it would have had less critics. Was still quite a thrill to watch. However, I think that they were a bit too on board with the health argument. I do believe that vegans generally, because they tend to get rid of processed foods, do tend to be healthier. But I think this movie is looking more at correlation than actual causation between diet and the unperceived unhealthiness, because many civilizations throughout history have eaten meats and still are healthy. Overall, though, I do give this documentary a good grade. It was good, but it needs to be more refined.